interfaces?
No. If I2P ever has some users, then we might, notice them more.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to ask, are there any exit nodes in China?
Yes.
Okay, that's why. Because I was in China for the last year, and actually I used Tor, and then sites were blocked. So you just have to reload, but it's just...
Yeah, it is a shame that various places on the internet are censored in various ways. And sometimes some Tor user in Ohio tries to go to BBC and they can't because the exit node they came out of said, I'm sorry, you can't do that. A stronger example is we were looking at a Tor exit node that was doing SSL man-in-the-middle attacks. Every time you go to eTrade or any SSL website, it would give you a self-signed certificate. It would replace the certificate of the website you're going to with its own. And a lot of people with tinfoil hats said, oh my God, there's a bad guy, he's running a Tor exit node and he's trying to attack everybody. It turned out that it was some guy on broadband in China and his ISP was doing a man-in-the-middle attack for every SSL website that he went to. And the poor Tor users were getting attacked along with him. So there are a lot of complex things that go on when you start having a global overlay network and letting people pop out anywhere around the world. Do we actively take out those nodes? Sort of. So the easy answer is almost all the time those nodes are accidentally misconfigured. So we send mail to them and say, hey, you screwed up on your firewall. Can you stop screwing up all the Tor users? And then they say, oh, oops, sorry, it's fixed. If we send them mail and they don't fix it, then yes, we actively take out those nodes. And the way that works is the 5 directory authorities. I run 2 of them, Peter runs 1, and there are a few others around the world. And we know each other and we say, hey, this server is broken and it's not making Tor work. We need to blacklist it until they fix it.
Hi. Whoops. Because of the fact that Tor allows users to run as internal nodes, I was curious if there were any implications of bandwidth starvation if Tor, for instance, ever ran into a scenario where users were not able to get to the outside at a reasonable rate.
So the question is, how do you do load balancing so you don't overload the exit nodes? Because if you pick randomly for all the nodes and then you only choose exit nodes for the last one, the last guys are going to see a lot more load than the internal nodes. So the easy answer is you do a little math and you provide a proportion of bandwidth less for those exit nodes when you're picking the middle hops. And that means that you are less likely to pick exit nodes in the first couple hops of your path, but the load balancing works out. It's also maybe bad for anonymity, because if our goal is to choose from a really large set of servers at every step, but we don't choose exit nodes as much for the first few steps, we're not being as secure as we could be. But on the other hand, it works better, and that seems to be more important.
Is there any sort of bias trying to choose nodes that have large exit bandwidth?
Yes, every Tor server advertises the capacity that it thinks it has, and the way it does that is it watches what bandwidth it's seen, and it says, I did 200 kilobytes over the past, per second burst over the past day, so I'm going to advertise 200 kilobytes. And then somebody else advertises 20 kilobytes, and the larger guy gets more weight when you're choosing the path, which again is maybe bad for security, but it's really good for having it work.
Cool, thank you.
I have a question regarding, it's a practical usage actually. Hello, I'm here. Okay. I'm running a Tor server at home, and recent weeks I've read a lot about the East European countries, the police departments doing attacks for against child pornography. So people who also are running the Tor servers also get somehow affected with that. Did you have something like that? I mean, did you get some information like that some people who run the servers got problems with the child pornography mostly?
So I have two answers for that. One answer is it's really pretty much only Germany where the police are stealing Tor servers. It's not happening in the US and other countries. So I guess the war is on here a little bit faster than it is in other countries to try to explain to law enforcement that actually security on the internet is worthwhile to have. That's the first answer. And the second answer is there are some nice people in the CCC who are coordinating the discussion about that. And some of them are sitting in the front row here. So you should chat with your CCC friends and ask them details about the current legal and political and social issues in Germany. I'd love to help out where I can, but it makes a lot more sense for the people in Germany to be leading that than for me to be leading that. Last questions?
Yes. If the police comes and gets your server, there's still the problem if you're running a hidden service inside of Tor. It's usually unencrypted on your hard disk. You just run a web server. There's no such kind of support that it's only accessible via Tor and not from the local hard disk. You have to care about all the encryption yourself. It's really hard to set up a secure hidden service.
So that one answer would be local encryption and so on, but I agree that's a bad answer. A better answer would be don't run your hidden service on the same place as your Tor server. You can run your hidden service anywhere. Hidden services, as long as you can get to the Tor network, people can get back to you. So you can run your hidden service deep inside the corporate firewall, right next to the finance computer or something, and nobody would ever think to go to that one to try to collect it. So what you described is maybe a great answer for why you shouldn't run a hidden service on the same computer as a Tor exit node. Last, Jake's got one. Yep.
So, assuming that every person in this room starts a server, I just saw someone start one right now, for example, and they're all going to be on a public IP address here at the conference. How will you stop people from just routing around inside the conference? I mean, you usually have the My Family option when you're adding, like I run a couple servers and they're all in the same family, so you're not going to select them when you're selecting your path. How do you stop that from happening and still make it user-friendly?
So there are two answers to that. The big question is, what if everybody here runs a Tor server? Won't many of the Tor users around the world just be routing from that laptop to that laptop to that laptop and then out? And wouldn't that be bad for security? So the easy answer is, every Tor server has an IP address that it publicizes, and Tor looks at the /16 and says, these are on the same network. I don't think I want to use both of them in the same circuit. So assuming we don't have a /8 here, I haven't looked at what sort of network IP address bandwidth we've got. But assuming we don't have a whole lot of addresses here, that's automatically taken care of by Tor. Because the Tor client will look and say, there are 1,200 servers and 400 of them are on the same network. That's great. I'm going to choose probably one of those, but I'm not going to choose more than one of them for my circuit. And that means that, yeah, somebody here might be able to learn that Alice is using Tor, and maybe in another case somebody might learn that somebody's connecting to Bob, but there isn't going to be any circuit over Tor that uses 2 or 3 of these laptops in the same circuit. So that's one answer, and I think it applies here. The other answer that you described is that as a Tor server, you can manually say, I'm controlling this one in Venezuela, and this one in California, and this one in Germany, so you shouldn't use them in the same circuit because it's really, I'm the guy who's running all of them. And that is hard to do. It's manual. It's not very automated. But did that answer that? The easy answer is by IP address.
If I got you right, you're trying to change the traffic so that traffic can't be connected to the Tor network so easily, so that you can't have automatic routines seeing this as Tor traffic, we block it. But if I've got a person, like a dissident in China, where I think, hey, this guy might be using Tor, and then I watch him, and I directly couldn't, I mean, the government might have all kinds of possibilities watching his IP traffic. And they see some kind of, okay, there's some SSL connection going on, so they can check the server on the other side. They can find out it's a Tor server. It's possibly the bridge this person is using. So they can start blocking that one. So the person will use the next one.
Yep.
So they will start blocking that one.
So there was a slide that I took out right before I came up here because I didn't have enough time for all of them on scanning resistance. This would be a property where even if the adversary wants to look at the whole internet and say, where are all the bridges, I'll block them preemptively, it's hard to tell if it's a bridge just by connecting to it. And this is a neat property, but it's kind of hard to get. One of the ways we could get it is we have to give some sort of extra secret to the Tor user when we tell them the bridge address. We say, here is the IP and port for the bridge, and here's the secret that will let it actually act like a bridge. Otherwise, it's going to say, welcome to Apache default. This is a web server that hasn't been configured yet, or something like that. That's maybe interesting, but maybe China should then go block everything that's an unconfigured Apache server, because who needs to connect to those? So there's an arms race there that we need to think harder about. We could also imagine some sort of neat port knocking scheme where you connect with the right secret and then it becomes a connection, and otherwise it just hangs up on you and there's nothing here at all. Probably port knocking is the wrong answer because then we have to have root or something like that so we can send weird packets and weird packets stand out. So good question. I don't know a good answer, but I'd like to have some property like that too. The other answer, the higher level answer, is if the Chinese are watching you that carefully, I'm very sorry, I can't help you. Last chance? Okay, thank you. I'll be around to answer more questions.